access 24/7. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And for the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. And that's just a sampling. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. For laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, download the Roku app. National Streaming Sports, live and on demand, sports talk for America.
This show is brought to you by BetUS.com. 125% off your first 3 deposits, 30 years experience, secure site, wagering for all sports, including during the games and futures. SeatGeek provides you the best prices on sports and music events, game tickets, and concerts. Use NSS promo code to get $20 off your first ticket. Keep using the NSS promo code when purchasing tickets for great deals in the future. In Fanatics at nessp.info for your favorite teams, sportswear. Click on the link, and while you're there, check out our national streaming sports merchandise. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mac and Jack Sports Show, starting off on your Roku channel every Monday, getting to the weekend of sports, which there was plenty of that to get around with. Good morning. I'm your host, Mac, with your co-host, Jack Hirsch. And first, we're going to talk a little bit about last night's game. Is the San Francisco 49ers, they beat the Dallas Cowboys 30-24. A rookie running back, after their starting running back got hurt, ended up rushing for 85 yards. Brock Purdy throws for 260 yards and a touchdown, rushes for 56 yards and a touchdown. Kittle with a big day on tight ends day, 128 yards and 1 touchdown. Samuels did play. He had 71 yards and receptions. 1 touchdown got called back as the 49ers seemed to shoot themselves in the foot a lot in the beginning of the game. Anyway, the defense had 2 interceptions. Prescott threw for 2 touchdowns besides his 2 interceptions. And CeeDee Lamb, Jack, had a big game, 2 touchdowns in the loss. It seems that the San Francisco 49ers have the Dallas Cowboys numbers. You've seen them in the playoffs knocking out the Cowboys. I think they've lost like 3 or 4 straight to them, Jack. And, of course, the Dallas Cowboys right now are going crazy. The players are fighting in the locker room. They're yelling at reporters. I mean, it's just a mess over there right now. And I don't know what Dallas has to do to upgrade. We talked about maybe picking up somebody to trade or something and signing somebody. I don't think they're going to do that. So what are your thoughts on the Cowboys right now, Jack? The 49ers seem to maybe starting to get themselves back together again, and the Cowboys are not.
I love the way people say make trades. Who are you going to trade for that's any better than what you have now? If a team's looking to get rid of a player, why? I mean, how good is he? I mean, the elite receivers like the Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, guys who could make a difference, they're already gone at this point. You can tweak your team with certain pickups, but you got to live with what you have. And Cowboys basically had a lapse in concentration in the third quarter when they got outscored 21-0. That was the difference in the game. Yes. Dak Prescott, you could say all in all, he played well outside of the interceptions, but he did throw a couple of interceptions. He was a little bit inconsistent. Dak says, well, things are going to change. We're going to get this straightened out. But at what point do you get straightened out? They play the Atlanta Falcons next week, a decent team. The Falcons at 5-3. They're battling for their division. These are tough games coming up. I mean, you could argue just about any game in the NFL is tough, but especially you look at certain of the schedules that these teams have, and when you have a chance to win a game, you win a game. And at some point, a team like the Cowboys has to get over the top against the 49ers, hypothetically, because they're going to see them again in the playoffs if the Cowboys are lucky enough to get to the playoffs. And at this point, that's very debatable. If you look at that division, they lost the game yesterday. We'll get to that later with Washington with that Hail Mary play. That was exciting yesterday, Matt.
Wow.
But you know, shame on the Chicago Bears. Whoever sets up to defend against that, that's ridiculous, because same principles apply to touch football. When someone would throw a Hail Mary and I was a receiver, I would just run to an area hoping for deflection away from everyone. And that's what happened. No one was in the end zone, Mac, on a Hail Mary.
I know.
No one was in the end zone defending a Hail Mary. I hate to go ahead of you, Mac, but I had to laugh. I didn't notice it at the time. Number 29 on the Chicago Bears, okay? You're either safety, corner, complete idiot. When the play is going on, I don't know whether you saw the clip. In the beginning of the play, his back is turned to the play as it's unfolding, and he's taunting the commander bench while the play is going on. Then he notices that a play's in progress, and then he wakes up and he starts sprinting, and the fool is out of position.
Well, Jack, we have the NFL download that is on when the games are on. So we saw it in real time. And as James said, my response was more exciting than the Hail Mary. I mean, I went crazy. Linda comes running into the room because she picked the Commanders to win that game. And as the play is happening, I got my hands up as touchdown and I'm yelling. I mean, it was an unbelievable play, but you're right. This guy is over there on the sideline almost talking to some. It might have been the Commanders fans he was taunting or whatever. And he's like, oh, the play is still – we're still playing. And he runs over. He's the one that actually tips the ball. I mean, he's the one who came from the side, tipped the ball back to Brown, the tight end, who caught it in the end zone. And it was dramatic. It was unbelievable. But you're right. How a guy gets behind – how they get behind any defender in the end zone is beyond me.
It's more than that. It's more than the foolishness of number 29. I'm sorry I forgot its name, but if I'm the head coach, I sit the whole team down and I play that play over and over and over and then point to him and say, you lost us the game there. You lost us the game. You get in front of your teammates now and you apologize to them for losing us the game. And I make it clear, I humiliate this guy to no end. I don't treat this guy like an adult. What was he doing? But Mac, what was he doing taunting another team?
I have no idea.
I mean, what classlessness. The guy lacks complete class. The game, he thinks the game is over. So what? No sportsmanship? He's going to taunt them? Why?
You know, there was a couple things that went wrong on there. First, they only rushed 3 people. They gave Jaden Daniels all day to throw. You rush 4 people at the end of the game. Put some pressure on the guy. Don't let him just run to the right and run to the left and stand there and wait for them to run down the field. I mean, that was a terrible, terrible call by the defense to begin with. But even with that, you have 8 people back there. And, they're going to throw for the end zone. They don't have time to throw it underneath. They don't have time for anything else. That is the play. And, of course, the Bears. And I have a problem with it. I have a problem, Jack, with the Bears coaching staff anyway. They're too much. I mean, you got to communicate with the players. You kind of got to be a player's coach. But dysfunctionally, I mean, they gave up penalties in the first half where they could have went ahead and won, where they were, there was unnecessary roughness. They knocked themselves out of field goal range, out of touchdown. They were close to the end zone. They put themselves in field goal range. I mean, that team right now is undisciplined. And to win in the National Football League, yeah, maybe you got to be a fan coach, but it's got to be somebody there to say, listen, guys, if you're going to keep starting fights, you're going to sit on the bench. And that's something an old school coach would do. So,
kudos to Tony Romo. Right before the Hail Mary, there was 6 seconds left in the game. And they weren't in position for a Hail Mary, a little short. And Tony Romo was calling it like the old quarterback he was. He says, look, you try a 10 or 12-yard pass to the sideline, and you could still have a second or two left on the clock, and that'll give you time for one last throw towards the end zone because you won't be as far away. You'll at least have a chance at a Hail Mary. And Tony Romo called it right. But even with that said, I don't want Jaden Daniels to be getting a pat on the back like, oh, Jaden Daniels pulled it out. He didn't even reach the end zone, Mac. Your job is to reach the end zone. Yeah. And his throw was short of the end zone.
He had bad ribs.
It would have gotten tackled as receiver, and the game would have been over.
I mean, listen, this guy still threw it, Jack. 65 yards would I don't know if his ribs are broken or not. But, I mean, he played with bad ribs and still played really well. So I'm not going to take nothing away from Jaden.
It worked out, but even the coaching staff, for the one Hail Mary, his ribs were hurting. I give him a pass there why he couldn't reach the end zone. They should have had Marcus Mariota come in just to fling it into the end zone because, he was more likely to reach the end zone for one given play.
Maybe you're right. I mean, I know the announcers talked about that too. But let's get to the rest of the games. That was an exciting game. Detroit, Jack, destroys Tennessee. Goff only throws for 85 yards, but has 3 touchdowns. I mean, they ran for touchdowns. A bunch of them. Let me get it right. Jamar Gibbs. They threw for touch. They just dominated him. Rudolph did have 2 interceptions. And Tennessee drops to 1-6, Jack. They're out. They're out. They have no chance at making anything of the season. And Detroit, again, to me, is the best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, you might be right about Detroit. That's still debatable. Remains to be seen. Tennessee's a mess there. They're going to be going very high in the draft. I could see, if you want a prediction way in advance, Shador's Sanders is going to be their quarterback next year. They'll be drafting high enough to get him, and that would be my guess.
I would agree with that. Cleveland, Jack, pulls up one of the many upsets yesterday. Winston throws for 3 touchdowns. Lamar throws 2 TDs, and he did have a helmet slam at the end of the game. When he gets upset, he likes to throw his helmet on the ground. Baltimore falls to 5-3. Are they as good as we think they are? I mean, I'm not trying to take nothing away from Cleveland, but I mean, listen, Cleveland played their asses off. I knew it was a rivalry game. I
called it, man. You called it.
I thought it would be close. I still thought Baltimore would win, but man, I mean, what a great defensive game by Cleveland. Good job by Winston. And now I'm not sure how good Baltimore is, Jack.
I think Baltimore is pretty good. I think these things happen in the NFL. And, by the way, I just answered the question. The Packers, I think, are winning the Super Bowl still. So there's your answer. Who's better than Detroit when all is said and done? But Jordan Love's going to have to be healthy. And right now he's been hurt for the second time this season. Jameis Winston really stepped up. And maybe that's your answer to the Cleveland quarterback situation next season, because Deshaun Watson still has monster money on his contract for a couple of more years. So it's kind of hard to cut him. Jameis Winston has been the ultimate team player since getting to Cleveland. He's even had Deshaun Watson's back. Anyone who's criticized Deshaun Watson, he's backed Watson up. One of the receivers was arguing with Deshaun Watson, and Jameis Winston ran over early in the season and told the receiver off to listen to him. He has the back of Deshaun Watson. But what I would do if Jameis Winston plays well the rest of the season, make him the starter next season going into camp. And, injuries happen. Maybe Deshaun Watson gets a chance to redeem himself next year. but you definitely can't start next season with Deshaun Watson as your starter.
Yes, and 9 interceptions for Love so far this year, but Green Bay does win, beating Jacksonville, who put up a heck of a game against them. Jacksonville just can't put the ball in the end zone when it counts at the end. Let's see. Let me get his Jacobs.
Trevor
was
Lawrence made a couple of mistakes. They had the ball on the 5-yard line. They fumble it away. Trevor Lawrence is a little frustrating because he shows levels of brilliance, Mac, that made him the number 1 overall pick in the draft. But then he's going to make these mistakes too. It's just frustrating, his inability to turn that corner to be one of the elite quarterbacks.
I agree. And Josh Jacobs played. He's on a fantasy team. He had a big game for Jacksonville. For the Packers, 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Love really didn't have a good game. He threw an interception. Lawrence threw for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Mac, I had to laugh because the one name you weren't mentioning, he was on the losing side. I think he had a pretty good game. Evan Ingram, once again, the Jack with tight end. So between Evan Ingram, their tight end, and Saquon Barkley, the Eagle running back, they weren't good enough for the Giants to want to re-sign. But
they
stand out elsewhere. A lesson to be learned.
Easy,
keep your own
Jack.
players.
Easy. The Jets' record right at this point is worse than the Giants, and we'll get to that.
The Jets are dysfunctional right now.
The Houston Texans win not by the spread, but they do beat the Colts. They're now 6-2. CJ Stroud throws for 285 yards. Mixon runs for a touchdown, 94 yards. Richardson, 10 of 32, 175 yards. That's a 30%. Passing. Where the hell is Flacco, and why aren't they?
No, Flacco's not it. But the problem with Flacco, I'll agree with this point. Flacco gives you at this moment a little better chance to win at this moment. I understand that. I'm not going to debate that. But if you're moving forward, Flacco is not the answer in any way, shape, or form. You don't think Indianapolis wants to go to training camp next year with Flacco as their starter? Of course not. But at some point with Richardson, he's going to have to take off, and it's not going to happen if he's going to be on the bench. He's got to play. And come to the conclusion he's not good enough if you want. Come to that conclusion, Mac, and get rid of him at the end of the game.
I agree with that. But let me tell you this, what happens during the game. He was 9 of 17 with that 1 touchdown, and he pulled himself out of the game, Jack. He went and sat on the bench and said he was tired. Not only is he not – listen, the guy's injury prone. He can't stay on the field. He's erratic when he's on the field. Get rid of the man. They're going to get rid of him.
I wasn't high on him when he was drafted, Mac. I don't disagree with you.
I know.
I'm not going to sing the virtues of Anthony Richardson. I don't think he's going to be a top quarterback in this league. I don't think he's going to develop into anything special. But he was the 4th overall pick in the draft. If you're the Colts and if you're going to play Flacco ahead of him, and I know I heard Bill Cowher say, well, the young man could develop, but play Flacco for now because he gives you the best chance of winning. But if you sit Anthony Richardson down and don't play him anymore, you've basically given up on him. And that's okay if that's the case. If you really come to the conclusion, I don't think he's going to be good enough to be our starter going forward, then play Flacco. But if you think Anthony Richardson could still be a franchise quarterback, you've got to play him. You need a conclusive answer. And the only way you get it's playing him.
This is Trey Lance all over again to me, Jack. This is Trey Lance.
Trey Lance never got – no, there's a difference. Trey Lance got hurt, and then Brock Purdy stepped in. Brock Purdy might not have gotten his opportunity if Trey Lance was healthy. But listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. Anthony Richardson has tremendous athletic ability. He's an excellent running quarterback. He's a very tough kid who can make big plays. but he's not a natural passer, to stay in the pocket. And he's injury prone, unfortunately.
And for this year, I think James is saying the same thing. Yeah. So the Arizona Cardinals, Jack, Miami looked like they were going to win this game. The Cardinals, listen, it's one of these games that I don't know about the Cardinals. They're up and down. They can beat anybody. They can lose to anybody. They come back and they beat the Dolphins 28-27, another upset. Murray had an outstanding game. He went 307 yards, 2 touchdowns. Connor with a touchdown. Tua back, he did have a decent game. He did throw for 234 yards and 1 touchdown. But right now, Miami is with the Jets at the bottom of the division in the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, it's but Miami, that had to be demoralizing to lose to Arizona at home with Tua coming back. They put points on the board. Tua got Tyreek Hill going to a degree after Tyreek Hill had been missing in action with Tua out. And the defense kind of let him down a little bit. And Arizona's not that bad, Mac. They're 4-4. No. They're tied for the division lead. They're 4-4. Yeah. The 49ers are 4-4. Seattle's 4-4. The Rams are 3-4. Talk about a division up for grabs. Mac, what's the latest? You've been keeping us updated on the rumors of this Matthew Stafford for Sam Darnold deal, Mac. Do you think it's going to happen this week before the deadline?
No.
You're the one that brought it to attention.
The Rams, there is no way. There is no way the Rams are getting rid of Matt Stafford. I said this before. It's a rumor. And they're not getting rid of Cooper Kupp. They're not getting rid of any of these guys. Why would you give up a quarterback that went to the Super Bowl? And, I know that he's been playing decent. I mean, he's had his problems because both receivers were out. They haven't got a good running game. And, of course, the head coach put the kibosh on the Cooper Kupp rumors, too. He said, Cooper Kupp's staying with us. So, that's just crazy. Crazy.
I'll tell you that division, 3 teams tied at 4-4. The Rams only a half game behind. That is a fun division. Fun division. And the teams like the 49ers are fortunate in the sense they won yesterday at 4-4, that they're not in one of these stronger divisions where they'll have to chase anyone. They have destiny in their own.
There when Jack went out and he's back in. All right, Jack. Let's get to the Atlanta. They do win. They're 5-3 right now. Cousins with 4 touchdowns. They found Kyle Pitts. He got 2 touchdowns. But listen, Tampa Bay without their 2 main receivers gave Atlanta all they could handle. I mean, there was at the end of the game, the receiver got pushed out of the back of the end zone, or maybe Tampa Bay wins this game. Baker with 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It was a real good game, Jack.
We all think of Baker Mayfield as being a little bit of a gunslinger, but, he takes a lot of chances in there, threw a couple of picks. He was maybe trying a little too hard to win the game on his own because, to have Godwin and Evans out, that was a blow to the Buccaneers. It was a very big game with division implications because now the Falcons are 5-3 and the Buccaneers are 4-4. A good game. I mean, what can you say? I mean, a good back and forth game.
Yes, Buffalo did end up putting away
Seattle. Matt,
Thank
you. Did you see during the game the 2 Seattle defenders are fighting with one another, teammates fighting with one another, and a couple of the Buffalo Bill players came in to break up a fight of the opposing team to tell them, guys, chill out, your teammates. The Buffalo Bill players are telling you Seattle players, don't fight amongst yourself, guys. Don't do that. You're on the same team. Yeah. Come on, stick together. I mean, that is bad when the opposing team has to come in and break up a fight of your team. Man, weird things in the NFL from the idiot bad defender. Have our producer look up that idiot's name, number 29 on the Bears. I don't know why. I should come prepared. He deserves to have his name mentioned. We want to give
back
him
on
his moment of fame. Number 29 on the Chicago Bears. while the play was going on, his back was to the play. I never saw anything like that, Mac.
I've never seen
before the play. The play is unfolding, and
I have never
and then
seen.
he tips the ball.
I have never seen. I have never seen players on the opposing team break up a fight during the game with the other team who are fighting each other. And I think that's the first time I've ever seen that.
That's crazy. They felt bad to Bill players. You know, you guys are teammates. Don't do this to one another.
Tyreek Stevenson is number 29 on the Bears, just so you know.
We're
right?
sure? Okay, if that's Tyreek Stevenson, then he is. That's the guy, Tyreek Stevenson. So
there you go.
They've got to do something special for him, the Bears. They've got to call the team in the film room, play it over and over and over and over. And then the Bears are 4-3 now. I would have put 5-2 the record on the board. Then take down the 5, put a 4, take down the 2, take a 3, and put down thanks, Tyreek.
There you go. There you go. So Josh Allen again has a good game at the end. Listen, I think Buffalo has a shot, maybe, at getting to the Super Bowl this year. They still got to get by Kansas City, which is really, really going to be tough to do.
Yeah, let me just make. I don't know what let me just make one last comment on that. I don't know what I really humiliate Tyreek Stevenson like that. Hopefully, if he's feeling truly terrible, everyone knows what he did. I'm getting a little overboard now because I was humored by it, Mac. Humored because I'm not involved in it, you know.
Right.
And if it was my team, it's whatever. I hope he gets over it and he learned his lesson, whatever. But the Buffalo Bills, I think I underrated them this year, Mac. I really did. There's something a little special about them, the way they step up. They lost a couple of games, and they just kind of then rebounded from that. They're going to Seattle yesterday and basically dominate the way they did. And you said before the show yesterday, how good really Seattle? And we both said it's not like it used to be playing in Seattle, where we'd hear that they're the 12th man, the Legion of Doom. Those days, those days are over. Where it's so tough to go into Seattle and win.
Yeah, and of course the Bills Mafia was there in full strength. So it really didn't give them a big
What
edge.
team travels the best, Matt? What team travels the best? You said the Bills Mafia, the Steelers fans,
there's a
the
few.
Packer
I mean,
fans,
the Steelers travel
fans.
really well. The Bills, the Steelers, the Packers, those fans will go anywhere for their teams. They're really great fans. Philadelphia travels well, and they beat the Bengals 37-17. I mean, Saquon Barkley, even Hurts played pretty well. They just ran the ball over Cincinnati, and Joe Burrows could not match the scoring, which I thought maybe he could. He did, and Cincinnati's a mess too, Jack.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni's off the hot seat with the Eagles. No one is talking about it for now. And the Eagles have rebounded nicely from their hangover at the end of last season and very early on this season. And they seem to have it together. They really do.
Yeah.
The pickup, we talk about Saquon Barkley, but that pickup has been invaluable for them. It's taken a lot of heat off Jalen Hurts, as far as getting the ball, to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They have a really good running game here. And it's, their defense is playing well this year. So, and then with the Cowboys playing the way they are, it seems like it's going to come down for the division with the Eagles and the Commanders. And you would think the Eagles have a little bit of a better team when push comes to shove.
They got experience. I mean, it's they're a young team, the Commanders. So I agree with you there. Kansas City does win, not by the spread, but they win 27-20. The Raiders, it looked like they played pretty well at the end, Jack. At least they did make a little comeback. But when you're playing against Patrick Mahomes, you got to get on him fast and make him play.
There you go
again,
Matt.
you can't. It can't be close at the end.
Mac, you tend to do that. You even do it in
What?
the NBA. A guy shoots 10 for 35, and then he makes 5 foul shots.
Right.
You say, well, he chipped in with 25 points, even though the guy was awful. Don't even mention the guy's name. Patrick Mahomes didn't play a good game on balance. His defense had to bail him out at one point. The Kansas City Chief defense completely shut down the Raider running game. Completely. The Raiders couldn't run the ball at all. And in fairness to Gardner Minshew, he was in a bad situation. He was a quarterback who had no running game that he had to deal with. See, he did okay under that circumstance.
And I will remind you, I will remind you, last year was the same thing. It was the defense. Patrick Mahomes has a new wide receiver over there, and DeAndre Hopkins. Kelsey is there. He's got a young group of receivers still. And he's it's gonna take a while. But by the end of the year, Jack, all that timing is gonna be down.
Yeah,
and the Chiefs right now, what are they? 8-0? Are they 8-0 right now?
Yes, 7-0.
7-0, undefeated. I don't know what to say.
Listen, they the good thing about the Chiefs, and you said it in the preseason, they were playing their starters more than the other teams. So they had that little edge early in the year. It's when I say early in the year, the first 3-4 games, while other teams stumbled out of the gate and they maybe went 1-2, the Chiefs are going 3-0. They were more ready to play when the season started. They weren't just resting their guys. And the regular season games very early weren't like the preseason games. And but you're right. By the end of the year, DeAndre Hopkins, who played yesterday, caught 3 passes, short yardage. Andy Reid said he's going to get more looks next week, and he's going to be a big target to Patrick Mahomes going forward. So between DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce, he's going to have a couple of really nice weapons there, Mahomes, going forward.
At the end of the playoffs, definitely. And we also had Denver. They did put away Carolina. I think it was 28-14 was the final score on that. Looking it up.
Mac, I went 2-1. I'm 11-2. In the spread.
You are
mediocre, but
you
good
definitely
to get up.
It
Sean
is.
Payton, Bronco coach, he wasn't happy with the performance, even though they won by a couple of touchdowns. The Panthers had a lot of injuries, and the Panthers are a bad team even when they're healthy. Okay, and especially being injured. At Denver, they were expected to win with a little room to spare against the Panthers, but he knows they have to play better. The Broncos are 5-3. I thought they'd have a good year. I thought the Broncos were going to make the playoffs this year, believe it or not. I really did, because last year they were 8-9, and I know they were going to improve a little under Sean Payton. They were going to go 9-8, 10-7, and maybe sneak in as a wild card. But, we keep hearing Bo Nix each game, but Bo Nix is playing to the game. He's not going to win you games for Denver, but he can manage games. He's learning to manage games.
He threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for 1, so all the scoring came from Bo Nix. So he had a pretty good game yesterday. You have the Saints. They score 8 points. I'm sorry, James. The Saints season is over. The Chargers beat them. I think it was 28-6 with the final score without looking at it, Jack. I mean, it's over. It's over. I'm sorry to say, but the Saints season has come to a close.
We're never going to let James live it down early in the year when the Celtics. When the Saints were like 2-1, he thought they were Super Bowl contenders. So the Eagles are coming to New Orleans, and he's thinking this could be a trap game for the Saints. They better be careful, not take the Eagles too lightly. This could be a trap.
That was precious.
You put him in.
That was precious.
You put him in his place. He's never going to hear the end. He's not going to hear the end of it with the way the Saints. Now, I wonder if the Saints going to be a trap game for anyone. I'm going to say this with the Saints. I am going to say this with the Saints. They are getting a little bit of an answer, unfortunately, with Spencer Rattler.
Yes.
Spencer Rattler is not it doesn't look like he's the heir apparent to Derek Carr. With Derek Carr out, if Spencer Rattler looked really good, of course, Derek Carr would reclaim the starting job when he was healthy. We know that. But the Saints would think, Spencer Rattler could be our quarterback of the future. And we're going to wait for the right time to move him into that slot, be it next year, whenever. But now the way he's going, it's, it doesn't mean the guy can't be a good quarterback in the league, Mac. Quarterbacks need time to develop in a lot of cases. They need to play a lot. They need to get the mistakes out of their system. They need to learn. But unfortunately, in this, day of the NFL, you've got to show the potential very early on. They just don't have, there's not a lot of patience. Case in point would be Malik Willis. The Titans moved on from him, and look what he's doing in relief for the Packers. Matt LaFleur's brought out the best in him. He came off the bench yesterday when Jordan Love got hurt, and he rallied the Packers. This is a guy who couldn't cut it.
I agree, Jeff.
And they cut him. And even Mike Grable. Mike Grable's going to be a hot coaching candidate, Mac, for openings, in the offseason. But I'm all of a sudden reassessing Mike Grable because he just moved on from Malik Willis. He figured this guy doesn't have what it takes. And if he couldn't do anything with Malik Willis, but Matt LaFleur can, it makes you think.
Well, Jack, I've got to, I didn't tell you this before the show. And as you see, Jack Hirsch, lifelong Jet fan, he's happy today. But all the rest of the Jet fans out there are having problems. They're really upset. Listen, guys, Jack Hirsch has been a Jet fan since 1968 with Joe Willie Manning won the last Super Bowl. Well, you see him. He's enjoying the day. He's not ready to skip work and sit home and cry. So we're here for you. I'm here for you. I'm wearing my Jet screen today. I mean, I know how you feel, Jet fan. I really do. I mean, I went through it too. Before we got a Super Bowl, we went almost 30 years without getting a championship. I know how you feel. And this is some of the, I'm going to put this across the bottom, Jet. Here's just a few Jet fans from our page. Same old Jets for life. Jets are clowns. Greeny even came out and said, this is a season of embarrassments. This is the worst embarrassment. And he's really the spokesperson for the Jets out there right now. And, listen, guys, it's only a game. It's only a game. It really is. It's only football. And when the playoffs come, you'll get your playoff pick, your underdog pick, and the season will go on. Don't listen to the coach saying it's a dark place. Don't listen to Aaron Rodgers saying, I've been in that dark place. I'm facing the dark. Don't listen to any of that stuff. You guys, just hang in there. Everything will be okay. I promise you. I've been through it, and Jack, my co-host, has been through it for a long time. So,
does Aaron Rodgers, it's good for him to go to a retreat and sit in the darkness, but in all honesty, Mac, I'm not going to shut the lights off and just sit there and start thinking, reflecting. I don't understand what's going on with the Jets, Mac. The only thing I could come to a conclusion with, they're 2-6. And you look at the team, and on the surface, there seems to be a lot of talent there. If I start naming individual players, how can you tell me Garrett Wilson is an elite? Devontae Adams is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Even Aaron Rodgers, now let's call him an average quarterback now. How about that? Is that fair? Let's call him an average, even if he's an average quarterback. Breece Hall is elite. Sauce Gardner's elite. DJ Reed is very good. Quentin Williams, etc. Hassan Riddick joined them now. They're individual pieces that are good. The only thing I can make out of this, Mac, is that in just about every game, with the possible exception of the opening game against the 49ers, they've played well for a certain part of the game, not the whole game. Even against the Steelers, they were up 15-6. It looked like this was going to be their night, and then they fell apart.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and there were games that they could have won. Zerline, their field goal kicker, man, he went from like all pro to nothing. I mean, I'm kind of wondering, should you cut him now? And the team is so poorly coached. They're calling timeouts. They're wasting timeouts that they need, they badly need. Like yesterday, for example, the clock ran out on them. Had they had a couple of timeouts left at the end, they could have, they could have maybe saved time on the clock when New England had the ball at the end, so they'd have more seconds left. But Zerline misses an extra point. He misses a makeable field goal. He missed the kick against Denver that would have won the game. He hit the goalpost twice against Minnesota that may have made the difference between winning and losing. Robert Saleh's lucky he was let go. I'm going to tell you why. I didn't realize it at the time, because they've lost their last 3 games since Saleh's been out. If Saleh was there, can you imagine how everyone would have been saying Saleh has to go? So rather than that, people are having some sympathy for Saleh. And Mac, you can't feel too bad for a guy who's getting paid $20,000. What, like a day, a week? What is it? A day, a week? 20,000?
I don't know. And he's a defensive coach, and he's helping the Green Bay Packers on the defensive side of the ball, and he's making that money. He might go to Super Bowl with the Packers. Who knows? I mean,
I don't think he's a coach. He's an advisor kind of. No, he's close with Matt.
Close enough.
He's enough. He helped Matt LaFleur when Matt LaFleur was younger. They're very close.
Yes, they are.
And he hired Matt LaFleur's brother to be his offensive coordinator. And Woody Johnson insisted Saleh let the other LaFleur go. So Saleh couldn't completely have his own coaching staff. But Saleh's a good guy. He's been in touch with, Ulbrich, the Jet coach, because they were close, that coaching staff, and he's been in touch, like what to do. I don't want to hear, Mac, I know you love to blame Aaron Rodgers. Let's not single out Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to tell you why. He drove the team down the field for the go-ahead touchdown. All the defense had to do was hold on one drive, and they couldn't do it. So this great defense wasn't so great against Jacoby Brissett, of all people. And keep this in mind, too. There was one pivotal play that you have to keep in mind. When the Jets went ahead by 1 point late in the game, they lined up for a 2-point conversion, and they get called for like offside, a delay of game. And now they're moved back from the 2-yard line to the 7-yard line, and they don't make it. Had they made it, New England would have tied it. They would have gone into overtime.
Jack, that happens with other teams too. They make mistakes, and other teams that win, that are winners, overcome it. Listen, on paper, they're talented, but chemistry-wise, they're not. And they haven't been chemistry as far as chemistry goes since Aaron Rodgers has come there, because he is the leader of that team. He is the spokesperson for that team. It hasn't been, the chemistry hasn't been there. Bringing in Devontae Adams has not helped at all. He's out there talking like he's a spokesperson, a leader of that team after he just got there. There's so many things, Jack. Listen, the Jets are they're not gonna go to playoffs this year. They'll be fine. Everybody just relax. Just relax. It happens.
You got to take it week by week now.
What it is, Jack. Now they're done. What it is right now is that the expectations were different from the Giants. I expected them to go 6-11. That's why I'm not upset. I knew the Giants aren't going to the playoffs this year. I think most Giant fans, realistic Giant fans, knew that. The Jet fans believe last year's Super Bowl, this year at least the playoffs, and now it's not going to happen. And I think that's the difference right now between the two teams.
But I agree with you, Matt, but you want to take something out of the season. Your favorite coach of all time, Bill Parcells, okay? When he coached the Jets one year, they got off to a 2-8 start. 2-8.
Right.
And then they won their
Right.
last 6 games. I remember that
Right.
year, 8-8. And I'm telling you, they took something out of the season, and that was a season you could look back. I forgot the exact year. You could look back and with a certain pride. We won our last 6 games. I mean, we showed character. Show me a little bite. The Jets, they play Thursday night. There's a quick turnaround.
I'll tell you right now.
And they play one of the
It
best
is against
teams.
Houston.
They
Houston.
play one of the best teams in the NFL. They're playing Thursday night.
Show
me some bite. Go out there and win the darn game, even if we're not going to the playoffs.
If Bill Parcells was the coach right now in his prime, not only would he have benched Aaron Rodgers and sat him down and put somebody else in, he might have got rid of a couple players already. He sure would have Devontae Adams come in there and start talking trash. There would have been leaders on the team. 2 different situations. There would have been players that were actual leaders, like a Williams, like a Sauce Gardner, like a Wilson. Those would have been your leaders on the team. Those are the guys that get down and play tough. I think your middle linebacker, can't think of his name right now. Another great a leader. Go ahead.
Mosley.
A leader. Those should be your leaders, not Aaron Rodgers and Adams. It would have been a totally different thing. But anyway, we got other sports to get to.
Well, yeah, okay, but let's see. There's a quick listen. A lot's going to happen the next few days with the Yankees playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, unless they lose the next 2 games. Heaven forbid. I don't think that's going to happen. Possible. And then the Jets play Thursday. That's all I need, Mac. The Yankees to lose a series in 5 games. They lose Wednesday night, and then the Jets lose Thursday night. That's all I need.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. I'll be happy Friday morning.
Awful. It would be awful. Real quick, the Philadelphia 76ers beat the Pacers. Maxey goes off for 45 points. Khalid Martin gets 12 rebounds, 17 points. Tyrese Halliburton, he gets 20.
Maxey's breakout year, Mac. I know you've always been high on him. Is this the year he attains kind of semi-superstar status? Is this his breakout?
Maybe so. He's got the talent. He's got the talent, Jack. He's definitely got the talent. And Embiid always hurt. Yeah, they need a leader. That's for sure on that basketball court. So I think Maxey has the talent to do it as long as he keeps playing the way he's been playing. The Nets in a surprise, Jack, beat the Bucks 115-102. Cam Thomas with 32 points. Dennis Schroeder with 29. Giannis has 22 in a loss. Listen, the Nets. Maybe they compete this year.
The Nets aren't competing for anything, Matt. They're bad, and they unexpectedly beat the Bucks. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm Giannis, I'm Damian Lillard. It's either championship or bust for teams like that. Right. And I wonder what they're thinking. They lose to the Nets. You come all the way to Brooklyn, you travel. In a way, that's worse than losing at home. You're losing at home, at least you go right back to your apartment, your house, you're there. But to get on a plane, travel somewhere, you're doing it like you feel for nothing. How did we lose to these guys,
Yeah, man. It's
Ben Simmons
today we got
Ben Simmons doesn't shoot the ball, Mac. He's played some minutes. He had 3 shots in 24 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, and he didn't even want to shoot them 3 shots.
He never does.
Today you got the Bucks against Boston, as they're going to play again in Boston. Cleveland at the next one, their first game of the year. Let's see if they can build upon that.
Cleveland's a dog.
They are, and they're a good team. They're a solid team. I mean, the Knicks are going to have to work to win that game.
Kenny Atkinson coming as their head coach. Yeah,
I agree, and that's going to help them a lot this year too. Bronny's going to split time between the Lakers and G League. Zion Williams is coming back, Jack, for Friday's game, so it'll be his first game of the season. We'll see if he can stay healthy.
Zion Williamson, he played yesterday. Zion Williamson, yeah, he did play.
Okay, well that's what I had with you back
in party. But he played. Zion's has a history of getting injured, and Zion has been a very good player, but coming out of Duke, you were thinking, maybe this could be a generational player.
Yeah.
But he's been a good player. He hasn't been a bust, but he hasn't been quite what, they hoped.
Yeah. Durant, 8th player in NBA history to reach 29,000 points. Listen, he looks a little young this year, Jack. I mean, he's playing some defense. He's jumping on Bronny. I mean, he looks young and revived this year.
Isn't he the guy you said they should send home from the Olympics, not let him play on the team, even though he wanted to just send him back, even though he's begging to play, he's healthy.
I admit it.
But they're waiting for Bradley Beal to, be completely healthy and play. And they decided the Suns to run it back with Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. I think they're the surprise team. I think they're the team I'm picking to go to the finals, out of the West. The West is up for grabs. I mean, Sports Illustrated's picking the Oklahoma City Thunder with, Gilgeous-Alexander, Holmgren and all. And that's a good pick as well. Yeah. Something about the Phoenix Suns. I just have a feeling Devin Booker and Durant are going to have great years.
I do too. We got like 10 minutes before the top of the show here. Let's talk a little bit about Yankees Dodgers. They go back to New York. You got Clark Schmidt versus Walker Buehler was the pitching matchup. Listen, they got to win. They got to win this game, Jack. If they go down 3-0, I mean, I think the series is over. They've got to win this game, and they got to do it well. I don't know what to do with Judge right now. I have no idea why he's swinging the pitches out of the strike zone. He's just trying way too hard. And no more excuses, though. We've been saying that all playoffs about him. He's got to start hitting the ball, period. Yankees probably
I'm the biggest excuse person that you're going to meet, covering up for Judge, this and that, saying, well, he had a couple of big homers against the Guardians, but, he hasn't been good. And we heard the talk before the playoffs began that Judge struggles in the postseason. And whatever the reason is, he's got to produce. I don't think he's choking up. He's choking. I don't think he's trying too hard. He gets certain points, Judge of the year. It happened in April at the beginning of the season where he just wasn't hitting. And then after he was the most incredible hitter one of the most incredible hitters in big league history for a couple of months, he kind of leveled off. He could get hot again at the snap of a finger, but the way things are going, like the other night, the last game, for example, the Yankees load the bases, but Judge doesn't come through. Judge makes one of the outs in that inning. He strikes out. Anthony Volpe strikes out. And the Yankees had the opportunities. I was really annoyed the first game. And I'm not critical of Aaron Boone that much. And I'm not critical about him, about the Nestor Cortez thing. People are jumping on him. Nestor Cortez is a better pitcher than Hill was not going to come in and get out Ohtani and then get out Mookie Betts after that. Hill is not that type of pitcher.
We would disagree. We would disagree on that, but go ahead, Jack.
Well, but Cortez did get out Ohtani. Keep that in mind. He got out Ohtani.
Oh, Cortez has a hurt elbow, but there's no reason he should be pitching. There's no reason.
But if
unless, Jack, the way I would pitch Cortez is if we're totally out of the game, or you bring him in early and let's see what he's got where it can't affect the final outcome.
Well, Tommy Conley, who they had in pitching to Ohtani, what was it, the 7th inning? I was saying, 8th inning, I forgot now. I was saying, take him out. I didn't want, that would have been a part the Hill with his sinker ball to go in against Ohtani, maybe for one batter instead of two, late on in the 9th inning. I knew Ohtani was going to do some damage. He hits a double off the wall. I knew it was going to happen. I'm holding my head. This is an awful matchup. And it cost the Yankees a run. You know what? That was the only move. But all in all, if you look at Boone's moves, he's made a lot of good moves he hasn't been given credit for. I'll give you an example of Adeo, who's been good in the series, great defensively. He's made some other big catches. He's hit a bit. I was all for Jason Dominguez getting a shot at it. And going into the playoffs, I'm thinking, Stanton's bat has been a little slow. Maybe give Dominguez a shot for a game and see what he could do. Boone didn't do that, and that's worked out good. I wasn't
Yes.
crazy about the idea, too, of taking out Gleyber Torres, pinch running, Cabrera for Gleyber Torres. Since when is Gleyber Torres slow? This isn't Stanton on the bases. Since when is he that slow? Gleyber Torres can run okay. Cabrera's a tad quicker. I'm going to agree on that. But once you take Gleyber Torres out, you're putting Cabrera at second base. You're sacrificing a little bit with the glove. Only, not that Torres is so great defensively, but he's familiar. He's used to playing second. Yeah. Cabrera isn't as used to playing second base, and Cabrera muffed the ball there. So there were a couple of moves, but all in all, Boone's did okay managing the bullpen.
I'm not gonna throw the book at him. I think he should have put in Smith to get out the lefty, and then maybe brought in Holmes or Weaver or Lightner, whatever for Mookie. But whatever, it's done. It's over with. I'm not gonna throw the book at him. I think it's the Yankee players that are messing up. When you have bases loaded, I don't know how many times that they had players in scoring position and they just didn't get them in, Jack. And that's Boone can't go. Go ahead.
But more than that, Derek Jeter was critical of Boone for pulling Garrett Cole after 88 pitches. And he's right. You speak to your pitcher before the game. If I'm Aaron Boone, I call Garrett Cole in the office. He speaks to me and the pitching coach. Look, we'll let you go as long as you can go. We're not limiting you on a pitch count, but you've got to let us know how you're feeling. If you're starting to tire, you've got to communicate that to us, and let them. What is wrong with letting them go 115 pitches, Matt?
There is nothing wrong with it, Jack. It's the
worst scenario. If he's effective and he's throwing 120 pitches, you just give him you move him back in the rotation. Instead of him going game 5, you give him an extra day rest. He'll go game 6. You reset the rotation. You always can reset the rotation for your ace. That's understood. You give him an extra day's rest, 88 pitches. What are you holding him back for? This is the darn World Series, Mac. What are you saving him for?
I agree, Jack.
I agree. Tom Kelly in the 91 World Series, he let Jack Morris go 10 innings. He went 10 shutout innings in the 7th game. He went against the grain, I mean, the Juan Marichal or Warren Spahn once throw 247 pitches in a game. They didn't get pitches. They were back 4 days later.
I know pitchers have in the past, way in the past, have thrown double headers and extra innings and whatever, but it's a different time, Jack. The most important thing we could say here, ending up because we're getting close to the end here, is that the Yankees must win tonight. If they don't, to me, Jack, it's done. The Dodgers got to win one more game. It doesn't matter when it's going to happen. I don't care if it's game 5, 6, 7. They got to win. They got to win.
If they win today, they can lose game 4, and they can come back from a 3-1 deficit. Teams have done that a good number of occasions. It's a big mountain to climb, but they can absolutely come back from a 3-1 deficit. But if they lose game 3, they're not coming back from a 3-0 deficit. They're basically cooked. It's not to say they can't win a game or 2 still, but they're not coming back from that. Got to win today. You're right.
Guys, thanks for joining us today. Yeah, they do. They do. Thanks for tuning in. Me and Bobby G are up at 5 p.m. today. Jack and Frank will be on Glove Fist at 7 p.m. Eastern today. We got all our shows for you, so stick with the Roku channel. Have a great day and enjoy your